Hi everyone, it's Autumn. Today I wanted to talk about if you are going through narcissistic abuse or if you have just recently exited a relationship with somebody who has been a narcissist or in that cluster B personality disorder, and you're going through the recovery process, the healing process of the relationship. How important it's going to be for you to find somebody to lean on or somebody that can offer you support. And this is very specific to this particular type of abuse, I feel, because this isn't a normal breakup or relationship. It wasn't a normal relationship. And it's really not normal abuse. And given that, I feel as though most people in your life will not understand the abuse that you went through. And they won't understand what you actually went through. And oftentimes, if they knew your ex-partner, your ex-husband or wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, if they knew that person, it seems like a lot of these cluster Bs are very good at, well, not it seems like, they are very good at being covert. And more than covert, they're very good at wearing a mask. They're very good at theater. And it's very important to them for other people to see this wonderful part of them, to like them, to conform to them so that they like them. So your friends that knew your partner, your ex-partner, your family members that were close to them or knew them, will see them usually, oftentimes, not always, but often we'll see them as a great person or a likable person. At the very least, they won't be able to see them as a narcissist or the sociopath, psychopath, or borderline that they really are. And this can prevent you from getting the support that you really, really need from your closest friends and family members. And this is the time where you need that support the most. Even with all of my knowledge in psychology and, human emotion and all the work I've done on myself, which even prior to entering into my relationship with my ex-husband, narcissist, borderline, sociopath, psychopath, I was in a relatively good place. Even beyond the academic and professional part of psychology therapy and doing the life coaching, even just on my own level, the meditation and understanding myself and being in a really good place. I was even in that good place, and I was able to be drugged into the pits of hell, of cluster B hell, and not really know it. Feel as though I was truly in love with him. And be put into a place of feeling as though I was truly in love. And look, I was in love. What you feel to be true is the truth. It does not matter what that person's truth was. It doesn't matter that the relationship was a lie. If the relationship was a lie, it doesn't matter that the other person wasn't in love with you and may have been lying. It doesn't matter if that person was abusive and therefore didn't love you or maybe didn't even like you, as was in my case, looking back and seeing what was really going on. My ex-husband didn't really even like me. I wasn't even in the relationship for very long, relatively speaking, and I certainly wasn't in the marriage for very long, and it still affected me so greatly, more than any other relationship or situation has ever affected me in my life. And upon getting out of it, now I've turned the corner. The first 4 months was horrible. I am still reeling from it months and months later. But even to this day, I know it's been hard for me to get support. The people that I've been starting to work with, because this has really promoted me and encouraged me and motivated me, and I'm looking at that as being a good thing. Seeing how difficult it is to find a good therapist that is aware of and educated on narcissists and cluster Bs and the effect they have and the way this abuse plays out and the type of support that somebody has gone through a close personal relationship with somebody with these particular type of personality disorders in the way it expresses itself in the context of a relationship. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and it's not meant to blow smoke up anybody's ass, or my own. I am very oftentimes self-defeating, and I don't see the good parts of myself. So even saying this tends to be difficult for me. But I see it in other people who are chosen by the sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, borderlines, with whom they choose to be with, and whom they choose to exploit, abuse, and get with in order to meet their agenda and have their narcissistic supply filled and so on. They choose people who are inherently kind, loving, generous, forgiving. Inherently good people who are selfless, who are self-sacrificing, who see the good in people, who are romantics and want the love and want goodness in their life and want to cultivate and nurture the good in other people and will do whatever it takes to do that. Ultimately, they choose good people. And unfortunately that leaves the people that are sometimes the kindest, the most vulnerable to be victims. So as we get out of the relationship, you're going to see certain types of, if you have been in the relationship, if you've been out for a while, if you're in the process of recovery and of healing, you will have seen that you have new types of symptoms that you've never had in your life before. Now, some of this is PTSD. I'm doing another audio video podcast on this, and I want to do a full video with graphics to talk about this, the way that PTSD expresses itself with this type of abuse. A lot of it is in terms of how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we trust other people, how we trust our own perception, how we're able to form bonds because our inherent ability to trust other people has been broken on some core level. Because the person we were with, the cluster B personality disordered person, turned out to be not at all who we thought they were, and the perception of who we thought that person was turns out to be so wrong, even after some people 10 years of marriage, of being fooled, that we find out that this person was with us for an agenda. In my case, for a green card, or for for somebody to help them out in their life, for money, for a place to live, for narcissistic supply at the very least. Some type of exploitative reason, when we truly were with them because we loved them. And we believed that that person, we had a construct in our head, right, of who this person was. And that they were truly a kind, genuine person who was with us for these genuine reasons. And once this construct has been blown to bits and we see the reality of who this person is, this leaves us vulnerable to no longer being able to trust our own perception. Now this is probably the worst part of it. Then there's all these other types of things that could come up, and everyone's unique, and nothing is wrong or right in terms of how we respond to it. But at the end of the day, one of the most important things that you can do is find someone, one person in your life. I don't know that it's going to be easy, because again, and I'm going to repeat this again because I think it's really important. Most people, the people that you usually depend on, your best friend, your brother, a brother or sister you're really close to, a mom or a dad that you're close to, a cousin, these are people that we usually depend on in extreme life circumstances that we go through and in challenging times. But narcissistic abuse And this particular type of relationship is so pervasive, it's so unique to this, that most people that have not been through it, most people that did not see behind the mask of your partner, cannot understand truly what you're going through. They cannot truly see what it is you went through. And therefore, they can't offer you the support that you need. You'll find that you feel very alone. You'll find that the people that you usually feel good around, or that you feel are being supportive, you're not feeling supported. For me, I was shocked by how I felt. I'm very close to my mom and my best friend. And I found myself trying to explain myself, and them being very dismissive, kind of saying, it's fine, why are you upset? Oh, it's just a dude. It's just a guy. You'll find another guy. You're so pretty. I found a lot of that kind of talk. You're so much better than him. Why are you even worried? To me, felt very dismissive to what I had gone through, because they just truly did not understand how pervasive and how this affects the very core of your identity, your perceptions of yourself and the world around you, and people and relationships and love and trust and all these huge things that you spent a lifetime. I'm 35 years old. I spent 35 of my years constructing these ideas that were challenged in a way they had never been challenged before by this relationship, by this person that was a cluster B personality disordered person, and by the abuse I endured, and by the ending of the relationship, facing the reality of what I had been through, and now recovering after the abuse. Okay, so what can you do? Now, if you are lucky enough to have somebody in your life who is getting it truly, and you feel supported by, definitely let them know that this is a time where you need a little bit extra from them. That you are going to be a little needy. And I think by telling that person this, by articulating it to somebody, instead of just being needy, and calling it all hours of the night and annoying them and feeling like it's too much, I think that and this goes in life in general, when there are times where this happens, where we need somebody more, by articulating that neediness, saying, I know I'm needy, but I am. I need you right now. This is going to help me recover. It puts that person in a position of understanding what they can offer you and being more willing to give it to you. And to understand it's a temporary thing. It's something that it's a gift they can give you. That it's not just something that you are arbitrarily taking, where they don't feel used or manipulated themselves, like you're just being, overly emotional and you're using them for their time. People can get very weird, as you well know, about their time and when they have to give. So I think if you do have somebody who gets it in your life, who can be your support system, let them know, articulate to them what it is that this time, during this period of recovery, that you are going to need them. It's important that you find a therapist as well, a life coach, a therapist, a counselor that understands narcissistic abuse, and understands cluster B personality disorders. So you're going to want to interview a lot of therapists and counselors, at least 3 to 5 of them to start with. If you feel like the counselor or the therapist is ill-equipped or is ill-educated on the dynamics and the extreme ways in which these people, in which the cluster B personality disorder people act, if you feel as though they minimize it or they don't have a clue, do not go to them. I'm telling you right now that I have had several clients come to me after going to other therapists, life coaches, usually therapists, psychologists that are uneducated and ill-equipped with the narcissistic abuse and cluster B personality disorders, where they're actually re-traumatized by the experience of therapy because the therapist is so ill-equipped. This is incredibly dangerous to your healing process. It can actually not only set you back, it can actually re-abuse you because it invalidates your feelings. And it's not as though that person's right and it's invalidating you. It's that that person doesn't know what they're doing or talking about. And it's invalidating the truth that you experienced. Right? And they'll make it seem like it's your perception of the relationship that was wrong. And yet again, look back at the relationship with the narc. Look back at the relationship with the sociopath. That's exactly what you went through. You were told you were crazy. You were told you were wrong in order to validate the narcissist or the sociopath or the borderline. So this is very important that you try. I know it's so hard when you're in this fog of getting out of the abuse, but try to remind yourself of this. Be careful to look for that. There are some people, I know I take some people on Skype and on telephone. If you're, depending on where you live, because I know some people live in more remote areas where it's really hard to find somebody who is versed and educated and who has a personal knowledge on narcissistic abuse and the cluster B personality disorders and healing. I will take clients on Skype and over the phone, and if I have the time, and I've also been taking some people for free or for low cost that I've met online, because my heart goes out to people. Look, there's a devastation that happens after a relationship like this where they will destroy you. The narcissist will destroy you. I know I went through this, where you were destroyed financially and emotionally and in all ways. And I've had a couple people come to me, and my heart breaks. And so I have, if you are, I'm clawing my way out financially as well from the devastation of my, and I've never been in this position before. So I just want to throw it out there. I have done that recently, because even if we can just talk on the phone once a week, sometimes that can help. That can be the support. So if you don't have, especially if you can't find somebody in your life, if you don't even have a personal support system, and this can be hard. Again, I didn't. It's very difficult, and it can also be very difficult to find a therapist or psychologist or a counselor or a life coach that can relate and understand. So if you can't, find someone, even if it's online. Look, even if it's not a therapist, life coach, even if it's another narcissistic abuse survivor that can relate to you, that you're even just emailing, the more the better. Now, I do believe that at a certain point, continuing to obsess over the abuse, talk about it with other people that are going through it on the support boards, even in therapy or with a life coach or with a psychologist. I do believe at a certain point, rehashing it over and over can be counterproductive. I know that this kind of idea has been brought up in yes, but do not get to that point too soon where you say, I'm not going to talk about it. The more I talk about it, the more it's going to hurt. That only is valid after a period of time. So after a period of time has gone by, months and months and months sometimes have gone by, yes. After a certain period of healing has gone by, then we do need to work towards maybe removing a little bit from obsessive going over the what happened to you, and remaining very active in the support boards and in community too much, where you're obsessing over narcissistic abuse and what happened to you. But don't get there too soon. I know there's a lady on which I see some of her healing modalities, and I'm a very alternative healer as well. I grew up in a family of healers. My aunt, my mom, they're doctors in the traditional, they're MDs in traditional medicine, but they also do homeopathy, NAET. My mom's a Reiki master, in alternative medicine, in Eastern medicine. And I am starting to do more hypnotherapy after it worked really well for me. EMDR therapy, a lot of sound therapy, that has worked amazing, which I've started to train with a couple of people and do on my own, and I'm slowly starting to work with clients. I believe a lot in a lot of different alternative therapies. However, there's a couple of people online that are a little out there and have this very I don't know how to say it, but they have a very specific ideology on it, and one of their, and specifically one lady's ideology says to that you are bringing it on yourself by being too much a part of the support groups, and by going over and over it too much and thinking about it too much and talking about it in therapy too much, and being a part of the abuse community and the recovery community, and you need to get out of that, and somehow, by some, higher lifted pay for my webinars, you're going to, I don't believe it. I don't buy that. That's a slow process away from it. But that obsession and that need to be part of the support community, that will be, I believe in what I've seen with most people, that will come with due time. And it comes naturally.